There's more disaster on the horizon for Americans. A story that has gone underneath the radar is the port strike that is set to take place at midnight. And when you look at this, this is a story that is going to have massive disruption and higher prices for you on a wide range of products. So joining us now to break down what the port strike will mean for you is Mark Mix, president of the National Right to Work Committee. So Mark, thanks so much for taking some time for us tonight, because this is going to be a huge story. So how is this going to affect everyday Americans?
Yeah, Jill, to your point, we're about 6 hours away from a decision for about 45,000 port workers on the East Coast to walk off the jobs. And let me quote Harold Daggett, the president of the International Longshoremen's Association, the president of the union that's going on strike here at midnight if we don't get some solution. He says this, and I quote, "I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means." That's his quote about what it means to have a strike in this supply chain and in our economy, which could cost us up to $5 billion and some GDP loss. So it's got a big deal. Shelves may be empty here in a week or two. And so it's going to have a real impact on the economy and, unfortunately, individual people across the country.
Mark, zero in on this. I mean, so is it true that even if they shut down for a week or two, that causes massive problems for all of us?
Yeah, Matt, we think that the supply chain will be affected into 2025, according to folks that are involved in it, the trucking industry and others who move these products that come in on these big ships and go to the port and unloaded and then work their way into the economic system. I mean, this happens to affect, clothing for Christmas and those types of things. I think a lot of vendors, a lot of retailers prepared for this, thinking this might be eventually what was going to happen. And they may be right. But yeah, the impact doesn't just affect us this week or next week or the third week when Daggett says that malls will shut down because there'll be no close, but into 2025. So the impact on the economy and our GDP could be really, really dramatic.
Mark, there are so many different aspects to this story. One, there are 6-year contracts. I know that the talks stalled back in June, and they haven't had any further discussion since then. That's a very long time to go without talking. And they're looking for a 77% wage hike. So it feels like we're at some extremes right now. So how long do you think that this could take to get through?
Well, you don't know. I mean, we had strikes that last for a day, strikes that get settled at the last minute, and strikes that last for literally weeks. I mean, we look at, GM strikes. We had the automotive strike and the rail strike that was postponed because of, or at least shortened because of Biden's intervention there. And so you got a political implications as it relates to Biden and Harris. And then you have the union saying, don't get involved. There is an ability for the administration to step in under the Taft-Hartley Act, which was passed in 1947. The administration can request an 80-day cooling off period so that the strike would be delayed and get these people back to the table. But Jill, to your point, as far as I understand, the United States Maritime Association and the ILA have not had any talks, to your point, for the last 3 months. And that doesn't militate in favor of any kind of solution by midnight tonight. So I think we're going on strike. How long it lasts is up to Harold Daggett, really, and whether or not he holds out on the 77% pay increase. And then probably the other primary issue is the automation. The idea that there can be no technological advances on the ports and they can't actually use technology that would make it more efficient, more productive, and maybe more cost effective for consumers like all of us.
Well, Mark, what do you expect if you're out there and you're just somebody listening to this right now? What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, you probably got to go get your toilet paper and get your baby formula and get your bananas and your meat for the first week, because produce and fruit will be the first thing that suffers. And then we'll have the clothing and the textiles and the other imports. The construction industry looking for metal and lumber and those types of things if it goes on 3 or 4 weeks. The issue for us, Jill and Matt, is one that deals with forced unionization. One of the things we think the ILA is holding out on, the union's holding out on, is the hybrid points at Charleston, South Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia, where non-union employees work side by side with union employers. One of the things that's in the master agreement that exists today that they're working under for the next 6 hours, it looks like, includes a provision that any new terminals that would go online must be only union. And so right now we have about 2,000 non-union members that work at those hybrid ports that would have their jobs be in jeopardy because of a new agreement that says, hey, we're not going to work side by side with non-union employees. So that's where the Right to Work Committee is involved. But to your point, Jill and Matt, from a regular consumer standpoint, there could be trouble ahead when it comes to those basic things that we take for granted on the shelves at the grocery store and on the shopping malls, and then the materials we use for construction and other manufacturing processes in the country.
Well, you hate to hear it, but Mark Mix, thanks so much for joining us and giving us this update.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Matt.
And Matt, it sounds like when he's talking there, it's just a little bit of everything that we talk about on this show, right?